All right, so we have these project objects that are living on the admin side of the website, but it'd be really cool to have them show up just like we have on this homepage here so that everybody can see them, right? Your admin, this is locked down just for you to enter information. It'll be great when we can go to the homepage and see some information. So let's go ahead and talk about this. So you can see right now, if we go to the homepage, we actually get an error, and that's because Django, after you've set something up past the admin path, it will no longer create that standard homepage for you. So for example, because we added the media bit, right? If we go back to our code, urls.py, this piece right here, now it will no longer just do the homepage for us with the default thing, which is fine. We don't want that. We want our own custom thing. So my challenge to you is to get the homepage showing. So this means you're going to have to go through the process of setting up the URL, setting up the view, returning a template, but this is all skills that you should have, and this is probably a good time to train that muscle of yours one more time. So just get your homepage to show up and have it display some text like, this is my portfolio, okay? Go ahead, hit pause, and then afterwards I'll walk through with you. Hit pause now. Okay, so hopefully that went well. What I wanted you to do was go to your URLs and add a new path. So this path, add the comma at the end there, is going to be for the home page. So we're going to just start first with an empty string. Then we have to specify what views it's going to. So we've got to import from, and we want this to be for the portfolio. You could technically have the home page live in the blog, but I think it makes a little more sense in the portfolio because the portfolio is where we hold the projects, and ultimately we're going to show them on the home page. So I'm going to say from portfolio import views. Okay, so that here I can say views dot, and I'll just call this home, for instance. Okay, so with this, we also want to make sure that we give it a name. So I'm going to do a comma and say name is equal to home. That'll come in handy later. Once we've done that, we're going to go to the views inside of portfolio, and we're going to make a new function here that we call home. Remember, we take request in as a parameter, and we want to return a render, which is imported up at the top here. And we're going to pass in first the request and then the name of our template. So we don't have one yet, but it's going to be portfolio / home.html. So we'll save that. And then inside of portfolio, we've got to make a new folder. So I'm going to make portfolio / templates / portfolio. Okay, remember we kind of do that strange little naming thing. So inside of this portfolio folder, we're going to make a new file, which in this case is home.html. Okay, now inside of home, let's just go ahead and have like an H1 tag maybe. It says something like Nick's portfolio. We'll save this. Moment of truth here. Let's try reloading the home page. And look at that. We got Nick's portfolio showing up. So obviously yours won't be Nick. But hopefully that challenge went good for you. If you forgot a couple things, it'd be good to, hopefully get that muscle going of trying things out. But hopefully you're feeling a little bit stronger in that area. Okay, so this was all stuff that we know how to do. Here's the real juicy thing. How do we get the projects inside of our database to show up here inside of the template? Well, remember inside of the password generator where we would pass information from the view into the template? That's exactly what we got to do here. Inside of our views.py, this is where we're going to grab the project objects from the database and then send them forward into the template, which at that point we can then display them to the user. Okay, so the question is, how do we get these things out of the database? And this is where Django really shines. Okay, so what we've got to do here is first import the model for the project. So we're going to say from .models, we want to import capital project. Okay, and then once we have that in place, it's our job to grab these things out of the database, and Django makes this so simple. All we have to do is say capital project, which is the name of our class, and then just do dot objects like this, and that's it. this grabs all the objects from the database that are project objects. It's that simple. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is put this in some sort of variable. Like I'm going to call this projects maybe. I'm going to go ahead and set this equal here. Oh, and I missed one thing here. It's going to be objects.all with the parentheses there. Okay, so then, and that makes sense, right? All the project objects, we're going to get them from the database and put it in this variable, projects. And then we're going to pass into our template a dictionary. Okay, the key is going to be projects. That's just the name that I've picked. And then I'm going to pass forward the actual project objects through this projects variable that we just created. Okay, so this one line of code grabs everything out of the database, turns them into Python objects, and then puts them inside of a list. So just a quick pause here. If you were to do this on your own, like manually connect into a database, write the SQL statements, then take that information, convert it back to Python objects and set those things, I mean, we are talking hours to get that thing implemented. Boom, it's just done for us in Django. So this is what I was talking about. Remember that balance of, Django does everything for you or does it do nothing for you? No, it's a pretty nice middle ground in that it handles a lot of this database stuff for you, but you still have a lot of control about how it works. Okay, so with this, let's go ahead and go back to our home.html, and just to see how things are working, let's go ahead and just do 2 curly brackets, and inside of them, we are going to say, show me what's inside of projects. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit save, reload this home page, and it looks like I've made a spelling mistake. So project, and let's see, where is it telling me this happened? On line 5 of views. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my views, line 5, project. Let's save that, reload the home page. Okay, everything's working. So, okay, here it shows that we have a query set, which is pretty similar to a list, not exactly a list, but just stay with me that that's basically what it is. Okay, but how do we actually get all the information from there? Well, because this is essentially a list that's coming back, we actually want to do a for loop through each of the things there. So in order to do the for loop, we're going to change these from 2 curly brackets to the curly with a percentage sign. I mean, basically the difference in the templating language is almost any time you have some sort of logic, almost like you're programming in the template, you're going to be using parentheses. Whereas whenever you're just pulling values out of like the dictionary that's been passed in there, you're going to use the 2 curly brackets. It's not exactly the case all the time, but that's generally how it works there. So what we got to do is we got to say for project in projects, and then down below, we're going to do another curly bracket with the percentage signs, and we're going to do an end for. So this is Django's templating language. This isn't like Python code here. It's a little bit funky how it works. Like it's not maybe a for loop exactly how you're used to, but basically if you have a list or something close to it like this query set, you can say for and then give some sort of name. Each time you loop through, this object is going to hold that current thing you're looking at. And then you have to have this end for at the end of it to say, okay, we're done here. So, and also this doesn't have to be project. Like this could be for egg in projects. That's totally fine. But to me, this makes a lot of sense, right? Like project with the S is the multiple. It's the list of all the things, whereas project is the one current one that we're looking at. To me, it kind of helps a little bit to think of it that way. Okay, so as we loop through, we want to see what project is. And so in this case, we're not doing any programming. So I'm going to do the 2 curly brackets. And inside of here, I'm going to say display whatever is inside of project. So we'll save this, come back to our home page, reload. And look, it doesn't have the query set thing, but it doesn't give us a great name. It just says project object 1. Okay, that's kind of dumb. But this is where we can then take a look at our model. So what are the different properties on our model? It has a title, it has a description, it has an image, and it has a URL. How can we use these? So if we go back to home here, I could say project.title. And if I save this and reload here, ooh, look at that. It shows the actual title. If I, down below here, I'm going to copy, paste below. Let's change this to description and let's save this, reload. Look at that. It's displaying the description. Now it's a little bit tough because these should it's like hard to tell where it starts and stops. So let's make those go on separate lines. So maybe this will be inside of a H2 tag, okay? And we'll make this description, since it's a little bit of text here, we'll put it inside of a paragraph tag. Maybe have the ending one there. Okay, so let's save that, reload. That's looking a little bit better there. Let's keep pulling information out of here. Let's go get the image. So I'm going to do the double quotes here and say project.image. Okay, and if we save this and reload the page here, you can see it's not exactly what we're looking for, right? Like it's just rather the path to where that is. And really what we're looking for is if we change this to image.url, okay, save that and then reload here, that gives us the entire path to where it was. So before it had just given us this, but with this piece of information, we can use this with an image tag to say, okay, I need an image tag. And in this image, I have to set the source. And I'm going to say the source is equal to, and I'm just going to plop this right inside of there. Okay, save this, reload. Oh, look at that. Isn't this so cool? This stuff from the database. Now we have control over how it's displayed. Like, for instance, if I say, you know what, this is too big. I'm going to set like a height and a weight for this. I could say like, height is equal to 40 and width is equal to 40. Now, ultimately, this isn't great because it's going to look really nasty. But if we reload this, it's like, oh, look, I can shrink it. But the point is that we're in control now, which is really awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete that, save this. And the last piece of information is the URL. So this is something that, maybe we also put inside of it. Oh no, what we should do is an A tag so that we can actually go there. And I'll just put link inside of here, okay? And so the href on this, we'll say href is equal to, and then we're going to do the double quotes and say project.url. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save this, reload, and it's not exactly great because at this point there is no link. So this is where we can use a little bit more logic, because remember, with project objects, we can decide whether it has a URL or whether it doesn't. So for example, we can do a little if statement here that says something like if, and I've got to do this inside of the curly brackets with the percentage signs because we're using some logic here. If project.url, okay, then, and we're going to do another percentage sign down here that says end if. This basically says, okay, if the project URL exists, then display this A tag. If it doesn't, it will just skip right over, okay? So notice this, I'm going to save this, and let's make sure we put like a BR tag on here so that this makes like a new line. So I'm going to come back, reload, look, the link disappears, but if in a separate tab, we go to our local host, got to spell it, /admin, and I go to projects, and I go to this object, and I say, you know what, I'm going to give it a URL. I'm going to say http://zappicode.com. Save that. Oh, HTTP. It's really particular that you have the HTTP or HTTPS. So I save that, and then if I come back and reload the homepage, ooh, look, the link shows up now because that happened, and we can click on this and go to ZappyCode. So pretty cool. And what's awesome about this, I can add another project. So I can say, number 2, man, and this was cool. Okay, and I'm going to pick another image. I'll just reuse what we got here. And this one, I won't put a URL. So I save this, and I come and I reload this page. And look at this. There's a second one showing down below showing that information. So to me, this is the real proof that databases are awesome, that we can log into this admin panel here and make changes, like add that URL or add a completely new project, and anyone in the world that was accessing our website's not live out for the internet, but if it were, anyone can reload the homepage and boom, all of a sudden that information is now live for everyone to see. I just love how clean this is. Like, this is so much better than going into your code, making another H2 tag. Like, how cool is it that we just had to make this one for loop, and any styling we provide here is going to apply to all the different projects that come through. Like, I just think that's amazing. Okay, so that's probably a good place to end this one. Hopefully you're starting to get a good grasp on how the database is working, and we're going to put that to the test because I'm going to start quizzing you about making the blog.